So, my grand adventure in One Piece has been getting better and better. I'm Mr. Morfetto. If you could please like, share, and comment on this video, it would help me out oh so much. If not, whatever, it's okay. But I won't like you as much. I definitely won't like you as much as I'm loving One Piece right now. Last we left off with the Arlong Park arc. We've done so much since. I've finished the Alabasta Saga. And there's so much to unpack with this entire saga. I'm going to try and go through as much as possible. There was a town called Roguetown where we got more supplies. One issue I had with this town was Zoro got his new swords, too easily, in my opinion. I feel like you could have spread that out. He could have gotten a new sword during this saga through a really cool story way, and then got another new sword in the next saga, or got both swords throughout this arc. But they really jumped the gun there here in Roguetown, and he got two swords from a sword shop. This guy tried to swindle him out of his sword, and then he realized that Zoro was a real swordsman, and then gave him the best sword in the entire shop for free, which is crazy. And then also sold him a cursed sword that Zoro tested out in a badass fashion, throwing it in the air, saying that if he was meant to have this cursed sword, it will not cut his arm off. And it did not. So now Zoro's got a cursed sword and another very rare sword indeed. And also Zoro met a lady that looks like the girl that he grew up with, that inspired him to become the greatest swordsman of all time. I'm not sure what to think about her just yet, this Marine lady who works under another badass named Smoker. Is she actually his friend, and maybe he was lied to? Maybe she had amnesia. Maybe she hit her head when she fell down the stairs and wandered off. Who knows? Maybe he was lied to so that he'd be inspired to be a better swordsman. I don't know. Why does this girl look like his friend? Maybe it was just a quinky-dink. I digress, though. Luffy wanted to check out where Gold Roger was executed, and he does. Gets ambushed by Buggy the Clown. Buggy, by the way, who I'm absolutely loving. This villain I thought was going to be a one-note, one-time villain is back. And it seems like Oda, the author of One Piece, is really into bringing back people that survived in past chapters, villains, and so forth. And also, Alvida is now Buggy's number 2 gal, his second in command. Alvida being the pirate lady that held Kobe captive in the very first arc in One Piece. But now she looks much different. She ate the slip fruit, I believe, and now nothing phases her. It slips right off her, including her weight, and she is now in fit fighting form, and that is wonderful. She looks nothing like she did before. That's fine. I'm curious why Oda decided to do that. No big deal. Little fan service. She shows up and tells Luffy that she's in love with Luffy because she got hit so hard. It's really convoluted, but it doesn't seem like she loves him that much, because Buggy jumps Luffy, puts him in the guillotine, and says he's going to execute him in front of everybody. Luffy, as oblivious as he is, still my favorite character in this series so far, which is insane to me. He's so funny and so likable and such a goofball. And a badass when he needs to be. Doesn't realize that he's the one to be executed. Buggy, right before by the way, Alvida did not try to stop Buggy from executing him, and that's why I don't think she loves him that much. I really like her being with Buggy right now. They're a cool little duo. I hope that stays for a while. These two are the Team Rocket right now of the group, from what I can tell. They will be chasing Luffy into the Grand Line. Well, Luffy escapes thanks to lightning. A lightning bolt strikes, knocking down the scaffolding that they were on. And Zoro, Luffy, and the gang escape. But before they do, they run into a man named Smoker, the leader of the Marines on this island. The man has a devil fruit power where he can literally turn into smoke at will. And you can't physically attack him. His physical attacks don't work on him. I really do not know what attacks would work on the guy. Buggy and Alvida escape as well due to the storm that was caused by, I don't know, by fate. They seem to be talking about fate with Luffy here. I really hope Luffy doesn't turn out to be the chosen one type thing, the ancestor of something. He was meant to do this just because of fate, like kind of how Naruto ended up being at the end. He ended up being the great ancestor of a god or some bullshit. Didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I hope Luffy is just an underdog who's worked his ass off to be where he is right now and is just enjoying being a pirate. And things just happen to happen. But we also meet a character named Dragon, one of the most edgelord names of all time. Hi, my name's Dragon. And someone else would be like, hi, but you have to call me Nighthawk. That type of thing. I don't like the name, but maybe it's just a code name. He's got a tattoo on his face like Mike Tyson, and maybe he caused it. I do not know. It was very vague. He was just there in a flash. Barely saw him in the anime, barely saw him in the manga. Yeah, so there's this guy named Dragon helping out Luffy, because I think Smoker even says, why are you helping this kid? So maybe he is causing this storm. Maybe he's got some storm fruit. Who knows? We go from there into the Grand Line in grand fashion, up a reverse mountain. No other way to enter the Grand Line. Another little hiccup for me after that is they run into a giant whale named Laboon. I was not a fan of this whale. I did not give two shits about this whale, but it did, it filled us. At first I thought this was some type of filler when I watched it in the anime first. But no, it's in the manga. And it's actually very important because they find out about log poses. There's an old man living in an island inside the whale and giving him medicine and whatnot, because the whale's depressed because his pirate friends left him there like 50 years ago. The whole thing. The whale bonds with Luffy in a fight. I just wasn't really interested in this story. I'm sure it's going to make more sense later, but the most important part of this whole stop at I think there was a lighthouse, was Miss Wednesday and Mr. Nine, who end up being part of a group called Baroque Works, are trying to kill the whale, take the meat back to their people. They need a ride back to their people. They turn out not to be so bad, I guess. They lead Luffy and the gang, who now have a log pose because regular compasses don't work here, and you have to go from island to island with a log pose because the magnetic pull from each island. I like it. It's a great way to do it. I'm curious, can you go the opposite direction? Can you end up at the end of, like if you are technically at the end of the Grand Line where they are right now, can you just go the opposite direction and cut your time in half? Probably not. I guess you can't. But you head down the Grand Line. The first stop is this town with these cactuses, giant cactuses. Everything seems great, but it's not. It's not great. Turns out all these people who are praising the Straw Hat Pirates, saying, we love pirates, partied them up, gave them drinks, gave Sanji a bunch of women to fondle, let Usopp tell his tales, got Nami drunk and passed out. So these people turn out to be a member of this Baroque Works thing, along with Miss Wednesday, along with Mr. Nine. I believe there's a Miss Monday, Mr. Let's see here. I have the list of the names here. I could not keep them all in my head at the same time. There's Mr. 8, who's Igaram. And there's Miss Monday, who's a bodybuilder lady who was dressed up like a nun. I liked her. I feel like it would have been cool to see more of her down the line, but I think she might be dead. They all end up fighting Zoro by himself, which is insane in the membrane. Zoro dominates like 100 men by himself without any help while the whole crew was sleeping, because he was not really, he was, he drank a little bit, but he did not get out of his mind because he realized there was something up. He knew of these Baroque works things. They tried to recruit him at one point, which makes so much sense since he was a bounty hunter at one time. But the biggest part of this whole thing, it turns out Miss Wednesday is a princess from Alabasta. Blew my mind. What a cool way. I thought she and Mr. Nine were just going to be another pair of Team Rocket villains, which to me makes no sense because we've got Buggy and Alvida. So, okay, one-note villains. There's no one-note villains here. She turns out to be a princess undercover. I don't know how. I would love to know how she did that, detail-wise. Like, how did she do that? How did she really go undercover being a freaking princess of Alabasta? But she ends up being attacked by more members of the Baroque works, Mr. Five and Miss Valentine, who I love both these characters. Mr. Five can blow up any part of his body, including his boogers, and he flicks his boogers and they explode. Great, super unique. But Miss Valentine is super dope. She's got the ability to become... She ate the kilo fruit, so she can get really heavy or really light, and she uses an umbrella to float in the air when she gets super light, and then comes down hard with super heaviness. I think she was super cool, and Mr. Five, they come in to assassinate Vivi, Miss Wednesday, and Igaram, who's also... Mr. 8, who's also undercover, who was dead set on killing Zoro just moments before. Same with Miss Wednesday. Miss Wednesday, or Vivi, her personality change when she got discovered was so, like completely different. She was a completely different character. She was very more Bond villain before that. Like, it's interesting. She got less cheesy, more dramatic, personality change on a dime. She was really good at being undercover. Same with Mr. 8. But before they could be assassinated, Zoro gets told by Igaram to help her. Also, Mr. 9 and Miss Monday decide to sacrifice themselves. For some reason, I don't know why they did. They seem very loyal to the Baroque Works family, but for some reason, they like Miss Wednesday, and they want to sacrifice themselves. And so they basically, Mr. 9 and Miss Monday, I think, are killed. I think they were killed. But I really liked Miss Monday. I would like to have seen more of her, the bodybuilder lady. I thought she was pretty unique. I think she could have been an interesting character to tag along with our Straw Hat crew. But Zoro jumps in, starts kicking ass, cuts one of the explosive boogers in half mid-air. Very cool shot, but another moment I did not like, probably the biggest moment I haven't liked thus far in the series, is Luffy comes in, hilariously all bloated from eating too much, but he decides to fight Zoro because he thinks that Zoro beat everybody up because he didn't like the food. And I just don't... After the whole Nami Arlong Park arc happened, I was like, well, Luffy trusts his crewmates wholeheartedly and would never think that they would betray him. And after just one person telling Luffy that Zoro beat them up, he jumps to conclusion and attacks Zoro at full force. Zoro even says, like, Luffy isn't playing around. What the hell? You're trying to kill me? And Luffy literally says in the manga, yes, die. It didn't make any sense. It felt like a forced thing. I feel like somebody told Oda that he needs to make Zoro and Luffy fight, or two main characters fight, because this is a shonen anime and that happens, damn it. too out of left field, out of character for Luffy, in my opinion. Zoro has been your absolute most loyal member of your crew that follows your orders, no matter how dumb they might be. And you're gonna come in fists blazing? I don't think so. But hilariously, during their fight, they both take out Mr. 5 and Miss Valentine effortlessly. And Nami breaks up Zoro and Luffy, explaining the situation. So we get past it quickly, but it was a pointless fight. They could have saved Luffy versus Zoro for down the line, where it made sense, where it just makes sense for them to fight, and they could have had a conclusion. It could have been an epic deal. They could have built it up, but they kind of threw it away. And I love that they don't have a rivalry like that. It's so out of the norm. This story is so good, it did not need to sink to that level, in my opinion. So they end up helping this Miss Wednesday. They move on to an island of giants. Oh yeah, by the way, Igaram was killed, supposedly, by Miss All Sunday. They move on. They have to stop at a couple more islands. They stop on an island of two giants fighting. I had to take a step back when I saw these giants. I was like, man, this story's getting a little wild. But I ended up really liking this part of the story. We also meet a couple more villains, Mr. 3 and Miss Golden Week. Along with Mr. 5 and Miss Valentine, attempt to kill the Straw Hats and these giants through methods. But Mr. 3 has a really cool ability. He can control wax. At first I thought it was ice, but he's a wax fruit type of fella. Miss Golden Week hops in, and she can use paints to change people's moods and personalities. It's very interesting, very confusing. I still don't know if she's dead yet, because she ended up in a tussle with Karoo, the duck that's with Vivi, and it looked like Karoo killed her. I really hope that off screen that duck killed Miss Golden Week. Mr. 3 almost turns everybody into a wax candle, but Zoro hilariously was going to attempt to cut off his ankles before rescue arrived, and he's just so funny. Zoro is becoming one of my favorite characters, and I thought he's just so great. This whole part in the story, I won't ruin it, is so funny. When they're being turned into wax statues. But in the end, Luffy, Usopp save the day with Karoo, the duck, the magnificent duck. And they save the day. They kill Miss Golden Week, apparently. And I think Mr. 5 gets literally killed by a flaming attack from Zoro. I hope we see Mr. 5 and Miss Valentine again. I think they're pretty cool characters. One thing I have noticed with this arc is Oda is kind of afraid to kill anybody just yet. We move on from this island fairly quickly after we see our old friend Sanji, who has been left out of a lot of the action so far, end up on a phone call with Crocodile, Mr. Zero, who's a super cool villain. Really like him. I would say right now I still really like Arlong, but Crocodile's right up there. This guy's our first major villain. Very scary. He's got Gaara's powers. He's a sand manipulator. He can turn himself into sand, similar to how Smoker can turn himself into smoke. All these things are happening. He's end up on a phone call with Sanji. Sanji tells them that he's Mr. 3, and he killed the Straw Hats. So now they all think the Straw Hats are dead. He sends Mr. 2, Mr. Bon Clay, after Mr. 3. Go kill him. He knows too much. Some bullshit like that. It's really interesting. We end up meeting Mr. 2 after we get off this island, thanks to help from the giants. Mr. 2 Mr. Von Clay can transform into anybody, body and face and all. He's got a really cool devil fruit ability. Mr. 2 ends up being one of my favorite parts of this whole story. Very funny character. Quickly, we finally get to Alabasta. We meet Luffy's brother. By the way, Luffy has a brother, a badass brother named Ace, who gives Luffy a piece of paper to put in his hat for later, which I still don't know what that's for, and I refuse to look it up and find out, but I really want to know what that piece of paper is. Ace is the more badass version of Luffy in a lot of ways. Like, he looks like a main protagonist. He can turn himself into fire in the same way that Crocodile can turn himself into sand. He's there momentarily. I believe he saves Luffy and the crew from a smoker and the Marines in a badass way. He's pretty strong. I can't wait to... I'd like to see him tussle with Luffy, but these two are brothers. They seem to love each other a lot. It's cool to see Luffy have a family we just didn't know about. And you know what I was thinking? I was like, man, I can't believe this whole time Luffy didn't mention he has a brother. But I like it. I mean, why would he? Luffy's so straightforward. He seems like a character you'd have to... I'm sure if Usopp asked, do you have any family? He'd be like, yeah, I got a brother named Ace. Ace leaves the crew. We end up getting to Alabasta through a bunch of means. Vivi and Luffy get into little fisticuffs. There's some shenanigans. There's a funny bit where Vivi keeps forgetting to tell the crew about dangers in Alabasta. By the way, Alabasta is this island of sand and desert that people live in that hasn't had rain in so long. There's this whole backstory with this old man who's digging for water. It's insane. We get to see Luffy take on Crocodile, who finally catches up with the gang. Crocodile stabs Luffy through the chest or stomach or whatnot, and the only reason he survived is because Miss All Sunday saves him, who turns out to be a lady named Nico Robin, who's also undercover in Baroque works, which is crazy. Nico Robin saves Luffy from the death blow delivered by Crocodile. I love that Luffy didn't win this fight. You could tell they were setting something badass up. We move on from there. The rest of the Straw Hats end up having individual fights. You know what? I forgot to mention Chopper. I can't believe I did that. There's so much to unpack here, people. Forgive me. But we also have Chopper on the crew now. A Dr. Reindeer, blue-nosed reindeer. His whole arc was put into this saga that seemed to have its own world going on. I really enjoyed that story, Chopper's backstory. His mentor, I can't remember her name right now, but the witch doctor lady. I almost wish she was the doctor on the crew. She was very unique. It would have been cool to have an elderly character on the crew, but don't say she's old. But she was cool. I knew that Chopper was going to join the crew because I've seen pictures of the Straw Hats online, and I know there's the little reindeer guy. I thought I might not like this guy because he seems a little cringy, a little gimmicky, but I'm liking him. He's the mascot of the crew, and he's actually a really good doctor, and they really needed a doctor on the crew. He's really cool. He can fight, but he's also not one of the top dogs like Sanji and Zoro, but he's up there. He can get real buff, but he's also sort of a strategist at some points. Him and Usopp end up fighting Miss Merry Christmas and Mr. 4. Mr. 4 with his baseball bat. Miss Merry Christmas, she had this mole gimmick where she was digging under the earth. It was a really cool tag team fight. Another big bugaboo I ran into is Usopp getting hit dead on in the face by Mr. 4's bat, which was supposedly very heavy. And it looked like it cracked his face. Usopp should be dead. Usopp is the most human character we have here, people. And yet, they decide to smash him in the face. It would have been better if he got smashed in the face and then he was out for the rest of it. Don't kill him or anything, but after that, and after they win, they should have took him out of the whole situation. He should have been medically treated by Chopper, and then he should have been set somewhere, because he should not have been able to help out after that. But he does continue to help out after that. We get Mr. Bon Clay, Mr. 2 versus Sanji, in probably my favorite Sanji fight so far. These two go head to head, and he uses his ability to transform into Nami as his strategy to fight Sanji. But it was a leg kicking fight. It was super cool. I really enjoyed this battle. If you don't watch One Piece, just watch this matchup. It was funny, and it was also fun and full of action. But of course, Zoro's fight is always the most badass. He ends up fighting Mr. 1, who can turn his whole body into a sword. I feel like there were so many Devil Fruits here. They really didn't need to give this dude a Devil Fruit ability. It would have been interesting if he was just a badass swordsman. Because it seems there's so many Devil Fruits now, so many powers, which is fine. I'm fine with that. I'm loving it. They fight. They go at it. Zoro has to figure out how to cut this guy who's essentially made of steel. Zoro channels his inner chi, gets his ass kicked, by the way, for a while, and I think he lifts a house at some point during this fight. Zoro's a super human. I really think Zoro might be stronger than Luffy in a lot of different ways. I don't think Luffy is dramatically stronger than the rest of the crew here. But Zoro ends up channeling some type of chi gimmick and cuts Mr. 1. But none of these characters die, I believe. Maybe Miss Merry Christmas and Mr. 4, but I don't think any of these main characters really died. Miss Doublefinger, probably my favorite of this crop. Her Mr. 2, she was pretty cool. She can create spikes out of her body, and I thought that was really interesting. She goes head to head with Nami. Nami finally going one-on-one with the villain has this weird... I didn't really like this so much, but Nami's the navigator. She understands elements. Gets this staff that Usopp built. I don't know, I feel like they're going to give her a special weapon to help her fight. They should have just given her some type of magical weapon. It didn't make sense that Usopp could make this weapon that took this lady out who's supposed to be one of the top agents, one of the best members of this group, and Nami beats her with this staff accidentally in a lot of ways. I feel like she was very dangerous, and she really only stabbed Nami through the foot once or so, and she was fine and able to fight after that. If anything, a lot of the weaker characters after they won their battles should have been incapacitated for the rest of the arc, in my opinion. They did what they had to do, but it should have came down to maybe just Zoro, Sanji, and Luffy at the end. They're still able to help out. And of course, Vivi. We move on to the main showdown with Crocodile and Luffy, and it's as fantastic as you can imagine. Luffy's back. He figured out, thanks to their first fight, that as long as he's wet with water or blood or whatnot, he is able to fight Crocodile, who turns to sand. As long as he can keep water around, he can fight. And now they're going fisticuffs. And by the time Luffy runs out of water, he ends up using his own blood to fight Crocodile in an epic fashion. Miss All Sunday, Nico Robin betrays Crocodile. Was really just after these hieroglyphs, these things she wanted to read, but really did not want to help the guy find this weapon, some weapon of mass destruction, which I don't believe we ever found. I'm not sure if we ever will, but it seems like this weapon is fairly important. Some ancient weapon. They beat Crocodile. They save Alabasta. There's a whole other side story with the rebels and the people of the soldiers of Alabasta that goes on while this is all going down. I'm just giving you my favorite highlights of the thing. There's this bomb about to go off in the city, but they save everybody. This bird guy that runs for the company saves everybody, essentially sacrificing himself with this bomb exploding midair. This was another issue I had. The Birdman survived in the end. At least it made it look like he lived after an explosion. It doesn't make a lot of sense. How did this man, this protector of Vivi, who made this epic sacrifice, survive? I do not know. But quickly, we save the day. We save Alabasta. The crew is about to leave. Vivi's not going. I thought Vivi was going to join the crew permanently, but she's got an island. She's got a kingdom to run. The crew takes off. Nico Robin joins the crew. And I really like Nico Robin. She's got this ability where she can summon body parts or hands, attach them to people, other things, and use them. It's very sneaky. She could be an amazing assassin. I think at one point when she was fighting, she summoned a hand and choked people out, broke their necks. I'm not sure. She can be breaking necks and getting whatever she needs. Nico Robin's very cool, and she joined the crew. I'm really liking her character. It's nice to have some more female characters on the crew. I feel like Vivi wouldn't want to be a part of the crew with her because she tried to kill Mr. 8, Igaram, who also survived. A little tidbit, there's a lot of characters, they make it look like they die, and then maybe arcs later or maybe moments later you find out, no, they survived and they're actually not hurt that bad. And to me, I feel like you didn't need to, some of these characters could have just stayed dead. I don't know if we didn't get to see Miss Monday again. But all these other characters could have just stayed dead. I don't think we really needed Igaram. Maybe they just brought him back because they didn't want Vivi to not like Nico Robin. I don't even think, why would Nico Robin kill the man? She was undercover anyway. There's so much to unpack with the Alabasta Saga, and I left a lot out, a lot of fine details, and there's a lot of fine details in One Piece, but the Alabasta Saga had to be the most epic so far. I had so much fun, all the different abilities, all the different things. I still think, maybe because I feel like One Piece really peaked during the Arlong arc, that I still think that the Arlong arc was my favorite so far. But all in all, the whole Alabasta Saga was the best saga so far. It was fantastic. And if from what I'm hearing, this just gets better from here, I am so excited. I'm Mr. Morfetto. What did you think of my review of the Alabasta Saga of One Piece? Are you going to check this out? Check this show out, even if you just want to watch a little bit of it. And I've still got so much more to go. I'm barely 10% maybe into this show. I'm 100 plus 150 episodes, and there's almost 1,000. My adventure is still going to keep going on, people. I will talk to you later. Please comment, share, and like this video.